What is it that you need to be focusing on? And I want you to focus on it 3 times a day.
You got to get focused, man. You got to understand that this hard time that you're going through is everything you're going through is preparing you for what you ask God for. Every trial and tribulation you go through prepares you for the life God has for you.
There are many people who believe because of where they're born, because of the area where they are in life and where they find themselves, that's all they know. Given my circumstances, ladies and gentlemen, I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. See, I know something about you, even not knowing you, that you've got greatness within you. You have the ability to do things that you can't even begin to imagine. You have talents and skills in you that you haven't even begun to reach for yet. No one could have convinced me, given my circumstances, given my background, that I would be doing what I'm doing right now. I was born in Liberty City on a floor on 62nd Street, a twin brother and me. When we were 6 weeks of age, we were adopted. When I was in 5th grade, I was identified as EMR, labeled educable mentally retarded, and put back from the 5th grade into the 4th grade and stayed in that category until I got out of high school. I have no college training, but here's what happened. I had an intervention in my life. A man who saw something in me at a time that I did not see something in myself. I never forget being in his class one day waiting on a friend of mine who was there to rehearse for a play. He did not show up, and he asked me to go up to the board and write something on the board. And I said, I can't do that, sir. He said, why not? I said, I'm in a special education class. He said, what do you mean? I said, go up to the board and write what I'm about to tell you. I said, I can't do that, sir. Why not? I'm educable mentally retarded. And he came from behind his desk. He said, don't ever say that again. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. And that changed my life. It was Oliver Wendell Holmes who said that once a person's mind is expanded with an idea or a concept, it can never be satisfied to going back to where it was. So some of you are going to experience a breakthrough. Some of you are going to go back and look at your dreams and brush them off. Some of you are going to begin to look at yourself and say, hey, look here, I know I have not done all that I can do. Whatever goal that you have in mind, I want that to be a goal that will challenge you, something that will make you stretch. It was Osborne who said, unless you attempt to do something beyond that which you've already mastered, you will never grow. What is it that you looked at some point in time and you decided that you couldn't do it, that you talk yourself out of it? Whatever it is, bring it back out there. How you're going to do it, that will come to you in due time. So you don't get in life what you want, ladies and gentlemen. You get in life what you are, not what you want. And see, the good news is that we can always become more by working to develop ourselves. So the first process of making this your decade, you've got to begin to take a look at your life and look at where are you right now? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What gives your life a sense of fulfillment, a sense of joy? What does a full, rich life means to you? What is it that you could love doing 7 days a week that'll bring a smile to your face? Think about that. In all the areas of your life, your professional life, your personal life, your family life, your spiritual life, what is it that you'd like to have? Once you begin to determine that, that takes you to the next step. And that is, once you decide what it is that you want, now you've got to decide that you deserve that. Repeat after me, please. I deserve the best that life has to offer. I deserve to find my purpose in life. Shake somebody's hand on your right and left and say, find your purpose. Do you know by actively pursuing your purpose, it could perhaps extend your life? The number one killer in this country of all the diseases we have, heart disease. It's the number one killer. And if you ask most people, when is it that the majority of people have their first major heart attack? Some people will tell you as a result of obesity or smoking cigarettes or high cholesterol or high blood pressure. And all of those are contributing factors. However, the truth of the matter is that most people don't realize that the majority of people suffer their first major heart attack on Monday morning between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. People getting ready to go to jobs that they don't like, jobs that are making them sick. You see, when you're not pursuing your goal, you are literally committing spiritual suicide. When you have some goal out here that you're stretching for and reaching for that takes you out of your comfort zone, you'll find out some talents and abilities you have that you didn't know you had. I started speaking just to elementary school kids because I knew they didn't know what I was talking about. And they gave me all kind of standing ovation. We like you, yeah. Then I graduated up to junior high school and then to senior high school and then to various community groups and church groups and civic associations and then to colleges and to businesses. Now I'm traveling across the country and then traveling nationally and internationally. But I never would have discovered what I'm able to do right now if I wasn't willing to take a chance. And you've got to be willing to do that. You've got to believe in yourself.
Where will you be in your business and your life in 36 months? Not because you hope, because you decide. Everyone in this room knows how to create. You're not a manager of your life, you're a creator of your life, or you wouldn't be in this room. How do you create your life? You get hungry for something, don't you? Who has done something in your life that once seemed difficult or impossible, and now it's part of your life? Who's got something in your life in this area? Say I. How did you do it? You created it 3 ways. Number 1, you decided there's something you wanted so bad that you unleashed all your desire. You became obsessed with it. If it was a business or a car or a relationship or a transformation in your body, if there's something you once envisioned and now it's real, it's because you didn't just envision it, you brought so much emotion to it that now it's in your life. It was once a dream, it was once a goal, and now it's in your life. How many have something like that in your life now? Say I. You may take it for granted now, hopefully not, but it was once just a vision. It may have seemed impossible at one time. So how did you do it? You started with a concrete vision of what you wanted and you focused on it continuously, didn't you? Wherever focus goes, energy flows. You envisioned something, you got clear about it, and then you started thinking about all the reasons why you wanted it. You got excited about it. Said, this is what's next for me now. I want this. You may have dreamed about it, thought about it, talked about it. But when you focus on something continuously, something magical happens. You get insights, don't you? You overhear a conversation and you hear something you wouldn't have heard if you didn't have that outcome or goal that you wanted so badly.
Do you realize when you jump, it allows your parachute to open and you to sail through life within your gift. But when you first jump, your parachute don't open right away. That ain't how it works. If it opened right away, everybody would jump. When you first jump, you're in an uncontrollable fall. It's almost like you're spinning out of control. But you got to stay with the jump because eventually God will put the necessary air up under your parachute and you'll be in the air like you're supposed to. But you're just going through the process. Like I tell my kids all the time, it take a long time to make a lot of money. See, my kids look at me and they be talking about, well, Dad, you ain't got no degree. You didn't finish school. Why I got to go to school? Well, first of all, you don't have no jokes. Let's start there. And my kids don't understand the process. See, they just see me now. They didn't know I flunked out of school. They don't care nothing about the third marriage I'm on. They don't know that I lost everything twice. They wasn't around when I was homeless and I lived in the car for 3 years. They didn't see the process. What most people do is to give up before God give you the gift. See, when you ask God for something, he boxes it up and he ships it immediately. But you have to remain on Faith Street in order to receive the gift. The problem is when God boxes up the gift and he ship it to you, he never gives you the date that the package is going to arrive. He'll never tell you that. Most people move off Faith Street before the package get there. You can't move over on the I Doubted Boulevard. He don't ship packages to I Doubted Boulevard. He only ship packages to Faith Street. You can't get over there on I Don't See House Circle. He don't ship nothing to I Don't See House Circle. So when you move out of faith, the package got to go back to sender. That's what happened. So you have to stay. You have to stay in the process and complete the fall. You're going to get cut up on the rocks. You're going to get your skin tore up. You're going to lose loved ones along the way. You're going to lose friendships along the way. Might lose your car, your job along the way. You might lose your house. But trust and believe that God got you. Name one time he ain't ever had you. That God I serve that done this for me, he'll do the same thing for you. You try this without God, you tripping. You tripping. See, for every time you have a plan, an aspiration, or a goal, this thing comes along called life. It happens to everybody. You're gonna lose somebody you care about one day. Somebody gonna close the plant you thought was gonna stay open so you could retire. That's a false hope to think you're gonna have a wonderfully carefree life.
I'm wondering this morning if there's anybody here that life has handed you something that you didn't expect. The one thing I can tell you for sure is that nothing is for sure. Life will often disrupt what you expected. That just as soon as you have it down in a nice, neat little box of how you think it's gonna go, it will never be what you expected it to be. So you gotta get used to being a little disappointed. You gotta get used to being a little bit shocked. You gotta get used to walking into situations and being flexible and adjustable. Because if you are not flexible, you cannot survive.
Sometimes we look at pieces in our lives that don't make sense. The key is what we do in our times of pain. Pain will change us. Every painful time, even though you don't like it, it's developing something in you that can only be developed in the tough times. Eventually, that will pass. You'll get through it, but you will be different in those tough times.
Many of you know that God will make things uncomfortable to get you out of your comfort zone, to put you in a place of purpose and destiny, to rise to the height of your calling and soar above your adversities and fly like the eagle you were created to be.
God never said that we would understand everything that happens along the way, but he did promise that it would all work out for our good. The key is what we do in our times of pain. If you go through a divorce, a legal battle, a friend betrays you, eventually that will pass. You'll get through it, but you will be different. Now, how the pain changes you is up to you. You can come out bitter, or you can come out better. You can come out with a chip on your shoulder blaming God, or you can come out stronger with a greater confidence in God. You can come out defeated, giving up on your dreams, or you can come out with a new passion, a new fire, excited about the new opportunities in front of you. All of us experience pain. My challenge, don't just go through it, grow through it. That difficulty is an opportunity to get stronger, to develop character, to gain new competence. Anybody can give up. Anybody can let it overwhelm you. But you know what that's doing? Wasting your pain. That pain is not there to stop you. It's there to prepare you, to increase you, to develop you.
God is a merciful God. He didn't bring you this far to leave you. He didn't set you up to fail. You're tripping, man. Even if you're wrong, He forgives us. Just keep moving, man. It ain't nothing. Now, look, I've had some painful moments in this like you. But hey, I look for the bright side, man. I expect something good to happen.
See, whatever experience you're having right now, it has not come to stay. It has come to pass. Not to stay, just to pass. It's just going through. The biggest challenge is to know what's happening. This is a part of this thing we call life. This too shall pass. And maintaining perspective, putting it in perspective. See, a lot of us, because of our limited vision of ourselves, a lot of us who begin to focus on problems and enable them to overwhelm us, we begin to think that we have no options. We begin to believe that there's no way out. You can decide that you're going to stand up to life. And all of these things that are happening to me right now, they're just temporary inconveniences.
You're going to go through things that are not fair. It's easy to live discouraged, but if you'll just stay in faith and keep moving forward, in time, God will make all things beautiful. Nothing beautiful about going through a loss or dealing with an illness. Just give it some time. You don't have to live worried. God is working behind the scenes. What you thought was going to limit you the rest of your life, the bad break, the mistake you made, that is not how your story ends. Beauty is coming. It's going to turn out better than you've imagined. God will make all things beautiful. Not just the good breaks, not just the promotions, that's obvious. But He'll make the disappointments, the mistakes. That's how awesome our God is. Don't give up on your dreams. Bitter over the person that walked away or upset over the contract that should have been yours. Let it go. God saw what happened. He said He would pay you back double for the wrongs. He just needs some time. Now, while you're waiting, stay in faith. When is it ever going to turn around? This is not fair. Pass the test. Keep going to work with a good attitude. At the right time, you're going to see Him show out in your life in such a way that you don't think about what you've lost. You're so fulfilled, you don't dwell on the negative things in your past. You keep honoring God, and He's going to make up for what you didn't get. He's going to have the right people come to you to push you into your purpose. He knows who left you out. He knows the times you didn't think you could go on. He's going to do something awesome in your life. Perhaps you went through a breakup. You're hurting. You're lonely. God is not finished. He's not going to leave you depressed. He has someone amazing coming where you're going to be happier and more fulfilled than you've ever been. Don't judge the rest of your life by one difficult season. Thoughts will tell you it's never going to change. Just accept it. Don't believe those lies. God promised He will make all things beautiful. Now here's the key. Just give it some time. The mistake we make often is we get in a hurry. Voices whisper, if it was going to happen, come on, man, it would have happened by now. Trust the process. All things in its time will be beautiful. If it hasn't happened yet, then it hasn't been the right time. When it's your time to see beauty, promotion, vindication, it will happen. How we wait is important. If we wait upset, God, why did these people do me wrong? That's going to delay the beauty. The right way to wait is in an attitude of faith, knowing that He's working all things for your good, expecting His favor. This difficulty didn't come to stay, it came to pass. God being for me is more than the world being against me. God knows how to make all things beautiful if you'll just give Him the time. You don't understand, it wasn't fair, just keep moving forward. God is not going to waste anything you went through. You're about to come out to new levels, see favor that you've never seen. Quit believing those lies that you've had too many bad breaks. You have a good reason to live sour. Look at what you've been through. That was all setting you up for something you've never imagined. Things that were meant to harm you, struggles that have tried to discourage you, bad breaks that should have limited your life. This is a new day. You're about to see vindication, new opportunities. The tide is turning in your favor. What was meant for your harm, God is turning to your advantage. That there's a time for weeping, a time for loss, but that is not the end of the story. God also said He will make all things beautiful in its time. There's a time for restoration, a time for deliverance, a time for celebration. Give God the time, He'll make all things beautiful.
And here's what I want to say to you. For those of you that have experienced some hardships, don't give up on your dream.
Working harder on yourself than you do on your job. Because here's what we know. There's no such thing as job security. Here's what we know. The impact of the coronavirus on your ability to stay employed, the impact of the coronavirus has been devastating. Devastating. And this is a time that you have to look at you. You have to learn something new, something that you love, and something that you can get training and coaching on from someone who's experienced and trained in that area to accelerate your growth and credibility and development so that you can have something else going for you other than a job. I want to help you do that. And for those of you who are already there and want to do what those young people do, I like what the young folks, they talk about BYOB, be your own boss. If you're ready, I want you to put voice in the comment section. Put voice in the comment section. I've been thinking about what I'm going to share with you today. And I've been tracing my tracks. People are always asking me, what did you do differently than others, the thousands of other speakers out here that allowed you to become a national and an international voice of motivation and greatness? And part of the process is I decided I wanted something new for myself. I wanted something new for my family. And I wanted to be able to control my own destiny. I didn't want to be a volunteer victim. We've been conditioned, we've been trained for a job. Things have changed. You got to be an entrepreneur now. You want to create something that you can control. You want to create and have something that you determine how much you're worth, not somebody else determining that. And today you have to live life like you mean it. This is no time that things have changed. We've got to change. We've got to change, and with a fierceness, because that's what it is. That the things that are dramatic and the millions of people that are emboldened and determined to hold you down, we've got to be stronger than them and more determined than them. Everybody can use this. What I'm going to talk about today, the value of improving yourself and working on yourself.
That's right, you. And why you are so important in this world. The most important thing you have to remember is that you got to stop trying to be like everybody else. Stop trying to be something that you're not meant to be. Stop trying to force yourself to be like other people. What people are and who they are and what they do Regardless if it's good or bad, that's their life, that's what they do. Now we can absorb that information, we can learn from some of that information, but when it's all said and done, you cannot take away from who you really are. The best thing you can do is make the most of the life that you have been given and push forward and get everything you can get out of it. Because you only have so much time in this world, so you got to make the most of it. Now, this thing about being like other people, we look at people, we see the success stories. Everybody's out here, some anyway, out here getting it in, doing their thing. We don't even really know how they got it, but they got it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's for you. You are here in this world for some kind of a reason, some kind of a purpose. Now, what do you do with it? We all want success, but at what cost? There are some sacrifices that you got to make, but don't sell your soul. So get out there and make the most of what you got. It's not going to be easy, I promise you that. Believe me, I know. I'm still trying to figure this thing out. But I'm not going to give up. And I will not sell my soul or sell myself short. But I will continue to work hard at what I have and what God has given me to be the best of me. Now you got to get out there and do the best of you. Because nobody's going to do you better than you. You just got to believe in it. Now there are a lot of people out there, there are a lot of motivational speakers out there, fitness guys, you name it. I can't compare myself to them, and I'm sure they don't compare themselves to me. All I can do is be the best of me. Will I make it? I'm looking forward to making it. Am I hopeful? Absolutely. But how much hope can I have? It's all about the doing part and the faith that I have to have. And that's what's going to get me to where I need to be. Will it be easy? Absolutely not. How long it's going to take? Don't know. But I'm still here, and I'm living, and I'm breathing, and I got to keep moving forward. And that's exactly what you got to do. So don't give up on your dreams. Don't give up on the reality that you have a purpose in this world. Keep working hard. Dedicate yourself as best you can. Be the best makeup of yourself. Remember, you are here for a reason. Nobody's going to do you better than you, and you were made for who you are.
The work ethic's a big thing, man. Beat the sun up, that's one thing. You know, there's not a formula. It's like, what do you have to do to build a work ethic? Beating the sun up, it's just you'll never feel bad because you beat the sun up. I don't care. You bitch about it the whole morning, all the way up until you finally wake up, and you're gonna be like, man, I'm sure glad this was awesome. There's something happens before sun's come up that is different, the most different part of the day. It makes you feel good about yourself at the end of the day. On victories, I see so many people get sucked into their own victories. And because their work ethic's broken, they don't keep working. They're like, oh, pat on the back. I got my deal. Let's go, let's take a vacation. And you see the destruction of these people. You know, Tom Brady wins the Super Bowl. He that night he's preparing for the next one. The work ethic is just, of all the top people, are so severe. So should be something. It's a great first question. Could be a whole book. Because one of the things, and the last thing I'll say on this is, this helps me, by the way, just you asking me this, really, the whole thing helps me. The work ethic thing is, it's also so that you start pushing whoever you're in a space with and you're competing with, you know, you want to do some flexing. And the flexing doesn't have to be the car, because you can't just keep buying cars. You can flex work ethic. There's no budget. You can't go broke on it. It's never going to be bad for you. It might bother your spouse. Kids, it's never going to bother the kids. Don't kid yourself. The kids want you just enough, and then they're done. They're like, okay, get out of here. So that whole thing, they played this thing out in the 80s, I think, you know, oh, kids need quantity at the time. The kids just need a quality time. They don't want 3 hours. No kid wants 3 hours of their day. Maybe yours does, not mine does. Am I right on this? I only have 2 kids, so I don't know. And at 17, 18 years old, they're not gonna want any of my time. And then they'll come back around later when they want money. And I'll be like, go get your own money. But the work ethic, you know, I do a lot of flexing on the work ethic thing to tell people where I've been, where I'm going, how much I'm going, what I'm doing. It's not for customers. It's for my staff, and it's for the competition. or anybody that thinks they're competition. And we're convinced I'm the most disliked speaker in the space by our contemporaries.
If the person is entrepreneurial and they ask me this question, I always tell them, you've got to take care of your kids, you've got to pay the bills. And I said, but, tell me when you work. And they tell me, well, I work, 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 and I'm exhausted and everything else. I said, well, what are you doing with the other 8 hours? Because that's what I did. I worked as a janitor all night long, middle of the night, everything else. I could compress time there because it was based on results, not time. So if I could do a great job in shorter time, I had that time. But then, what I start doing between, 7 o'clock at night and 2 in the morning, which is pretty much the time I worked, that's when I was developing myself, getting the skills, learning, educating, starting the business. So I think people just have to realize it's a gut-wrenching process. It's not, entrepreneurship is not for everybody. Most people fail in entrepreneurship. The vast majority fail. 96% in 10 years, but what happens after 10 years? All clear sailing after that? Anybody remember Lehman Brothers? They ran a century. They had gross revenues over a century of more than $1 trillion with a T dollars. That's what went through their bank accounts over that century, and they're gone. So I don't think it's right for everybody. I think you have to really be clear, is your personality the right personality if you're going to begin in this area? And then if you're going to work for somebody else, you can still become financially free, but that means you got to stop being a consumer and become an owner under entrepreneurs. You want to own businesses, right? Get out of just being, don't just own an iPhone, own the company. And not just Apple, obviously. But
how do you keep your energy up and your enthusiasm up?
How do you do it? I'm wired for it. It's my nature to some extent, but also the other part is I get to see results. Who here has been touched by my work before? I'm curious. Anybody in this room? So look around the room and I just, how's it hard to be inspired when I'm in a room and a third or 40% or 50% have used my work? And so people come up to me every day, dozens of people a day if I'm traveling, and they tell me the most amazing stories. Outside my children and my wife, that's probably the greatest gift of my life. I never get tired of hearing it, and it just makes me want to deliver more, give more, have more impact.
You get the last word. Tell them what you want them to know.
Well, if you're entrepreneurs out there, here's what I'd say to you. I'd say, don't be so damn hard on yourself. I know that sounds counter to being an achiever, but when you're beating yourself up, you're sucking out the energy you need to move forward. It's kind of like, I always tell people there's so much energy, and I've built mine. I do a lot of things to build my energy to be incredibly strong and have really strong endurance, because to me, energy is life.
Hi, welcome back to Mind Control.
Neither your body goes somewhere, nor your mind goes somewhere, nor you go somewhere. They're always one composite whole. If you want to do anything, you have to do something that works for all of them. You can't handle this separately, that one separately, and this one separately. They're always together, isn't it? Your mind doesn't go anywhere. Did you lose it? It is just that you're being deceived by the imagination of your mind. It is sitting here and imagining something. It is not going anywhere, but you are so identified and lost that you think the mind is going somewhere. Mind doesn't travel anywhere, it's very much here, isn't it? You need to understand this. Why your mind is going on with uncontrollable, endless thought is, you're identified with things that you're not. The moment you get identified with something that you're not, then mind is non-stop activity. You're identified with too many things and you're trying to stop your mind. I'm telling you, if you try for 1,000,000 years, it's not going to happen. It cannot happen. If you take away your wrong identifications, then you will see this moment, mind will be just like a mirror, not saying anything, just reflecting everything. That's how mind should be. Your mind as a mechanism works best only when there is clarity in it, isn't it? Isn't it so? Your mind is not here to think up all kinds of fancy things. That's a distraction in life. Your mind is here to give you clarity and penetration into life. But right now, mind is just a huge ball of confusion, simply because you got identified with so many things that you're not, and now you're trying to hold it back. There is no way to hold it back.
I'm tired of playing defense on the faith journey. I'm tired of being afraid. I'm tired of apologizing. Do you ever just get tired of reacting to the devil and his schemes? I want to be somebody who's directing. I want to be somebody who's leading. I don't want his threats to dictate one step that I take. So many of us, we tiptoe through life to simply arrive safely at death. It is a fact that you will die. The question today is, will you ever actually live?
Is there anybody in this building that's tired of being discontent? And you want to be able to say, if I get my way, I'm going to be happy. If I don't get my way, I'm going to be happy. I'm not going to let my circumstances control my moods. I am content and emotionally stable. That is my goal, to be content and emotionally stable.
It doesn't take much faith to give God glory when all your bills are paid. You don't have to be real strong when everything is well in your life. But when the bottom falls out, when sickness comes, when trials and difficulties come, when your health starts to fail, when your children break your heart, when difficulties, tough times, hard days, long nights, it is then that your faith kicks in to let you know that he's a very present help in the time of trouble.
Maybe you're unhappy right now with your current job. Maybe you're unhappy with your health, or maybe you're unhappy with the season of life you find yourself. Has it ever occurred to you that you are not there by coincidence, but rather you are there by providence? Has it ever occurred to you that God has a plan, that he's putting the puzzle together, and that you must recognize, regardless of the season, I am here for such a time as this? See, there's a reason for your season. There's purpose in your pain. There is a design in the disaster. There's hope in the hurt. There's life even after death. I think it's time for a turnaround.
Because crying and complaining is not going to stop the trial. Murmuring and groaning is not going to stop the trial. And the purposes that God wants to work out in our lives may include trials, setbacks, heartbreak. It may mean that you have to stay sick a while. It may mean that you have to go through it a while. You're not going to come through it yet because God has his mighty hand on you. And that hand on your life is so powerful to get purpose out of you.
And you know what? Those days are good for us. It's good to go through those days. Do not despise the day of small beginning. And don't complain your way through small beginning. Because if we cannot learn to be thankful for those things, trust me, you will not be thankful when God gives you more. Because going through the hard times and remaining thankful builds character in us that we need to remain stable when God gives us more to be responsible for. We should have a goal to be the most thankful person on the face of the earth. Go through each day thanking God for little things like hot water and a friend, every convenience that you have. Do all things without grumbling and fault-finding and complaining.
Hold your head up and dry your tears. You have nothing to be ashamed of. If you want to begin to move, you got to clear your mind of all the unnecessary luggage and baggage that's weighing us down. Let it go and begin to focus on developing myself. And I say to you, you're going to have people to do things to you. Things are going to happen to you. And the most important thing to do is to harness your will and let it go. And move so you can grow, so you can get on with your life. It doesn't matter about what happens to you. What matters is, what are you going to do about it?
Every other voice may be negative, telling you how you're not going to get better. You feel alone, isolated. It means you're in the wrong stadium. The enemy has a stadium filled with accusers, discouragers. Don't go there. That's the opponent's stadium. Your game is being played on the home field. Everyone in these stands is pulling for you.
Your life is a seed. The seed has to be coupled with a healthy environment. The seed has to go into the soil. It has to be healthy soil. The seed needs water. The seed needs sunlight. See, you and I are the same thing. We're a seed. We have to connect it to a community of people that are healthy and vibrant and believe the best really is in store for us. See, because you're kind of saying, I'm over it, but if you would share your calling, the moment you say, I'm over it, you would have somebody else walk up to you and say, wait a minute, let me just shed some light onto that dark area so that you can grow again. You're not quitting today. You're not quitting tomorrow. You're going to run this race of faith and you're not going to give up.
So as you begin to look at life, as you begin to look at the things you want to do, decide that you're going to become the active force in your life. Decide that you're not going to go through life feeling like a victim. Decide that when things become challenging, that you're not going to personalize it, that you're going to look at it, and you do whatever you must do in order to work things out and learn from it. That's the key. You will always be faced with a series of God-ordained opportunities, brilliantly disguised as problems and challenges.
We all have things that come against us and try to keep us from our destiny. Most of what we struggle with didn't start with us. It was passed down. Things like depression, anger, divorce. Studies show how that can get passed from generation to generation. If your mother was depressed, there's a good chance you'll have to deal with depression. Just like a lady that's on drugs and gives birth to a baby, that baby can have the same addiction as the mother. It was no fault of the babies, it's just life. What you're dealing with may not have started with you, but it can stop with you. God wants to give you rest from those enemies. As long as we accept dysfunction as the norm, it will never change. If you see that depression, that lack and struggle as your lot in life, you'll not only get stuck, but you'll pass it on to the next generation.
Got to get the word. Happiness is something you design. Happiness is a study. Happiness is a practice. Happiness is an art. It's not an accident. It's an art. And anybody that wants to can study and practice the art of happy living. Happiness is like culture. Money doesn't make you cultured, but culture is within the grasp of all of us. All you have to be is committed to it and make it a study. Culture is a study. Sophistication is a study. It's not an amount. It's not an account. It's a study. Money doesn't make you sophisticated. Only study and practice makes you sophisticated. Only study and practice makes you cultured. And only study and practice makes you happy. Study and practice makes you rich. Key phrase, don't be lazy in learning. 1, how to do well. Next, how to live well. Don't be lazy in learning and practicing the art of economics and practicing the art of lifestyle.
As long as you accept the dysfunction, even when God sends you a way out, you'll talk yourself out of it. You think it's normal to live depressed, addicted, angry, lonely. This is a new day. You may have been ruled by those things for years. They may have been passed down by previous generations, but that is not your destiny. What's limited you in the past doesn't have to limit you in the future. You can rise out of lack, struggle, not having enough. You have seeds of greatness. You were created to lend and not borrow. You can be free from depression, low self-esteem, insecurity. Don't let limited thinking keep you from your destiny.
There's some things that you can accomplish that you can't see right now. My favorite book says, eye has not seen, ear has not heard, nor has entered the heart of mankind what God has in store for you. When you're willing to say yes, when you're willing to move forward, life will respond to you. Mindset transformation is very important. Be ye not conformed to this world, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. You don't want to think like everybody else. You want uncommon thinking. Expand your skill set.
You just got to go through exercises like this. Take the notes, work hard, roll up your sleeves, go to work. Gather the knowledge in journals, gather the knowledge in notebooks, gather the knowledge in a library. And don't be lazy in learning.
Your feelings don't matter. You may feel like doing something, maybe you don't feel like doing something. Doesn't matter. Get out there and do what you're supposed to do, whether you feel like it or not.
What causes that switch to flip?
the overdrive, the beast mode, the full-on destroyer that will not stop.
So, machines make their decisions based on ones and zeros. Binary code. Yes or no. And that's actually a good system for you to implement for your own personal human machine. It's actually not that complicated. Are you going to work out today? Yes or no? Are you going to eat the donut? Yes or no? Are you going to win? Yes or no? Don't allow for any gray area in there. Get rid of the debate. Make the binary code decision. Yes or no. You know the right decision to make. So go and make it. But what's equally pathetic is when people let that scenario play out in their own head. Too tired, too hungry, too sore, too hot, too cold, too whatever. You ask me what I do when I get those little feelings running around. Well, let me tell you what I don't do. I don't tell everybody. No, I actually just keep that to myself. As a matter of fact, I don't even let those words run around inside my own brain housing group. I keep it secure. Lock it down. And instead of taking charge of the situation and taking charge of their life, they let some voice in their head that's lazy and weak and pathetic start to run things. Don't let that happen. You're in charge.
It takes both emotion and logic for you to reach your maximum potential, to really give everything you have and go beyond your limits.
No matter what's happening in your life, no matter what's coming down on you, don't surrender to it. Ask yourself, what am I going to do about this? And then go make it happen. And sometimes you're barely making any progress. Sometimes you're barely making any progress at all. And that tough situation is making you want to stop. And what you eventually learn is you can't stop. When you're going through tough situations, you got to take that next step. Take action! Some things are going to happen that are not in your control. You're going to get knocked around. You got to take the same mindset. That is, hang on to your paddle, get back in your boat, and get to rowing.
That's when you gotta use that anger, that frustration, that fear to push yourself forward. To push yourself to say, I don't stop. And when your feelings are screaming that you've had enough, and when you think you're gonna break emotionally, you gotta override that emotion with the concrete logic and willpower that says, you know what? I don't stop. And you won't.
Life is short. So go live it.
Thank you so much for watching till the end. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section. Please also like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and families. Please watch our other motivational videos. Thank you again.